Hey, it's Jonathan McGinley, a Maxwell certified coach, speaker, and trainer, and the founder of Intentional Man, a company that exists to give Christian men the tools, community, and coaching to pursue God sized goals, live intentionally, and build lives of significance. When was the last time that you took a significant chunk of time to reflect on your life? I'm talking about getting away for a few hours or a day or a weekend just to get out of the normal routine of life and to reflect on how things are going. When was the last time that you've done that? This can be such a difficult thing to do, right? I know you're extremely busy. I know you have so many different responsibilities and roles that you play every single day. It probably feels like you're drowning under deadlines and tasks as it is. But I'm telling you, taking time to reflect is one of the most important things that I believe you can do. This is one of those things that we as men are historically bad at, right? Usually we're pretty bad compared to women in this area. We're builders. We like to stay busy. We like to create things and look to the future. And all of those things are great. But one of the best ways to ensure that that future is going to get better is to stop and actually think about how your life is going. In sports, you often hear coaches and athletes talk about how important it is to watch game film, right? Almost after every loss, they mention, all right, we just got to get back to the game film room to see what went wrong and to see how we can improve. The film shows them tangible ways that they can make improvements. A lot of times, it's also going to show what worked as well and how they can build on that. But imagine a team that never watched any film and they just kept doing the same thing week after week, never made any adjustments, never got better. We would think that's crazy, right? We would want that coach to be fired. We like to sit on the sidelines and coach these teams ourselves. We would be calling for that coach's job if they continue to do the same thing week in and week out. If a play isn't working in football, it would be crazy to continue to just run that play over and over again and expect to get better results. We know that that would be a horrible strategy and a missed opportunity in sports. But yet, oftentimes, it's easy to not review the game film of our lives. It's easy to get so focused on the next thing or so caught up in busy work that we never stop to look at our lives and make the necessary adjustments and the changes that could actually help us. So, I'm sure you've heard the phrase experience is the best teacher, right? We've heard this for years and years. And this is something that people say all the time. And there's absolutely some truth to it. But that experience is only a good teacher if you stop to reflect on the experience and pull out the lessons from it. We have hundreds of experiences every single day that could teach us valuable lessons, but we don't take the time to learn those lessons and change courses. This is why a lot of us do the same bad habits over and over and over again. If experience was truly the best teacher, we would do that bad habit once and immediately make changes. But we have to stop and actually identify that this is something that's not good for our lives and make a course of action to make that change. An experience is not worth anything if you don't follow that experience with some reflection and some action based on the feedback that you receive. Assuming that you're just going to pick up all of the lessons as you go without ever taking time to reflect, without ever taking time to pause, I don't think is a good strategy. If you really want to grow, it's not a good strategy to just leave that to chance. You're going to have to be more intentional about reflecting if you want to truly improve your life. Peter Drucker has a quote where he says, follow effective action with quiet reflection. From the quiet reflection will come even more effective action. From the quiet reflection will come even more effective action. It's usually found in the times where we reflect, we think, and we strategize, and we actually take a look at the lessons that we've learned that we can get more effective action that we can implement in our lives. One of the best practices that I've found for doing this is to do quarterly reviews. So at the end of each quarter, taking some time to actually get away and reflect on the previous quarter and use that going into the next one. I like to get away for a day or two in the mountains, get away from life, reflect on the past quarter. It can look different for you. I would definitely recommend doing a day or two if you can, if you have that luxury. But if not, you can still do this in a shorter amount of time. I just encourage you to do it, whatever that looks like for you at this season of your life. So I want today to just give you a simple framework that you can use for a quarterly review. Obviously, this isn't the only way to do these. There's a lot of different directions you can go with these, but I just want to give you a simple framework you can use so that you can get started. So let's go ahead and jump in. So Part one, step one here, review your wins from the last quarter. Review your wins from the last quarter. How many times have you set a goal, you worked super hard, you hit the goal, and then you just moved right along to the next goal without it taking any time to celebrate your success? Super easy to do this. I'm very guilty of this, done this many times. It's so easy to keep charging forward into the next quarter without taking time to pause and appreciate all the good things that you accomplished or the good things that happened to you in the previous quarter. So it's easy to either focus on the bad things that happened, to be too focused on all the negatives, or to be too focused on the next goal that you forget to just enjoy the successes that you just experienced. Celebrating wins has a bunch of different benefits. It's going to help you build your confidence. Like I've had many quarters where I've gone in discouraged because I didn't hit a goal, or because I set 6 goals and only hit 5 goals, or I didn't do everything that I set out to do. And this can cause you to lose confidence. But if you actually stop and look at all the wins that you had and choose to focus on those instead of just the failures, you're going to feel that confidence. You're going to feel that coming back because you can actually see that you made a lot more progress than you thought. Oftentimes it takes us stopping to write down the wins to actually see, oh, this was a way better quarter than I thought. So celebrating the wins also helps you just appreciate the journey that you're on instead of only being focused on the destination. Really easy to always be focused on the destination and forget to just enjoy the process, to enjoy the present, to live with joy and gratitude each day and enjoy the small moments. But celebrating wins allows you to do that. It allows you to be grateful for the things that you have. So it allows you to be grateful for the experiences that you just gained. If you never stop to acknowledge and celebrate your wins, you're going to get caught up in that never-ending cycle of just moving from one thing to the next and not fully enjoying the present moment. Celebrating your wins is also just going to give you a good boost of momentum going into the next quarter. So when you identify all your wins, you're going to see the progress that you made, and you're just going to get that extra dose of motivation to hit the next quarter hard. So a lot of benefits to celebrate your wins at your quarterly review. So that's why I would say start there. The next step would be to review the God moments from the quarter. I'm extremely guilty of not acknowledging all the ways that God has worked in my life because I'm too caught up in the stresses and the pressures of each day. But God is always at work. He's always doing things. John 5:17 is one of my favorite scriptures. It just says, my Father is always working, and so am I. This is Jesus talking. Super simple verse. My Father is always working, and so am I. But yet we fail to recognize the way that He's working because we get too caught up in one thing to the next without actually stopping to enjoy and appreciate the things that God did in our lives. So it's always my favorite part of the quarterly review. When I look back and I'm like, wow, look at what God did. Remember that moment where He showed up in a big way? Remember that time that I was stressed out and He showed up? Remember that prayer request that I had that He answered? When I do these things and I actually acknowledge them and stop and see them, my desire for God just grows. My trust in Him grows. My faith in Him grows. And my desire for more of those God moments in the next quarter grows. I gain a whole new sense of confidence seeing that God is truly at work. And it just gives me a new perspective to remember to keep Him at the forefront and to be grateful and appreciative for everything that I have. So write those God moments down. This is so important. Write those God moments down. Keep them somewhere where you can come back and you can review them. And the times of struggle and doubt in the next quarter, which you're going to have, we're human. We're going to have those moments of doubt. We're going to have those moments of struggle. We're going to have those moments where we wrestle with God and we don't feel like trusting Him. But having that list where you can go back and you say, oh, wow, yeah. Remember when He showed up here? Remember when He showed up in this way? Remember that answered prayer? Remember that miracle? Remember when He provided for me in that way? When you have that list and you can read it quarter after quarter, it just is going to build your faith and give you something to come back to when you're struggling. So make sure you identify those God moments. So to do this, just write that down, look back, and have a place where you can keep these and access them regularly. Okay, so after identifying those God moments, I like to ask the next question would be, what did God teach me this quarter? So you can even start with those God moments and look at them and say, what were the lessons I learned, and write those down. And then you can look back through your journal if you keep one of those. If you're writing down things from your God times, whatever it is, go back through there and read some of the lessons that you pulled out. Oftentimes I'll journal about things in my God time in the morning and I'll write them down and then I just move on. I never review them, which is crazy because there's lessons every single day that God is teaching me, but I don't take the time to stop and acknowledge them and then figure out how to apply them to my life. So there's probably so many lessons that you learned along the way, but they're easy to forget and easy to not implement in your life unless you stop and pull out those lessons and take action. What did God teach you about himself? What did he teach you about his character, about his faithfulness? Where did he bring you encouragement in your life? Where did he bring conviction? These are all important questions to ask yourself and then really reflect on those answers. You can also then jot down some of the other main things that you learned this quarter. So after taking those God lessons, I like to then just say, what else did I learn this quarter? And I think through that in 3 different main areas. So after the spiritual lessons, then it would be in relationships. What did I learn in some of my key relationships? What did I learn in my health? Ways that I can improve there. And what did I learn in my career or my finances? So those 3 buckets, then go back and ask yourself what you learned in those 3 things. I guarantee you're going to pull out a lot of lessons that you can then take into the next quarter. Okay, so after that part, the next part of the reflection has to do with your habits. So first question I like to ask is, what healthy habits do I need to keep going into the next quarter? I like to start here because I want to make sure that I stick with the habits that are serving me well. If you worked really hard to develop a healthy habit in the last 3 months, it's important that you keep that going, right? It can be so easy to only focus on the new habits that we want to implement. But if you simply just replace habits between quarters instead of adding them, you aren't going to see the progress you want. If I stop doing a habit that serves me because I'm now focused on a new healthy habit, all you're doing is just trading one habit for the next. And so you're not really building or progressing from month to month. So make sure you acknowledge the good habits that you have in place, and then make sure you have a plan to keep them going in the next quarter. And then once you've done that, once you've identified the good habits, now's the time to ask yourself, what are the other habits that I can either add or remove that will have a significant impact on my life? So this is where you can identify the bad habits that are stunting your progress and make sure you have a plan to remove them, or you can identify new habits that you want to add that are going to make a big positive difference in your life. Your habits ultimately determine the outcome of your life. What you do day in and day out is ultimately writing the story of your life. And so these things is what truly are going to have the biggest impact on your life. So it's important to make sure that you take time to reflect on your habits. So many habits are unconscious, right? So many things we're just doing them and not even noticing that we're doing them. So unless you take the time to acknowledge them periodically, there's a good chance you're going to continue to do things that don't serve you month after month after month. So taking this habit inventory every quarter is a great way to make sure your habits are serving your long-term goals. So after I do this review, once I've gone through those prompts I just gave you, then I start to plan out my goals for the next quarter. So doing this review gives me valuable information and feedback to make sure I make more informed goals going into the next quarter. So my challenge to you today, block out time in your schedule for a life review session. So this is coming out right now at the end of a quarter, so I would encourage you to do it here the next week or two if you can. If you're seeing this in the middle of a quarter still, it's worth taking time to pause and reflect and pull out some lessons and keep going. One of the fastest ways to grow is to pause long enough for growth to catch up to you. It's to reflect and pull out the lessons from your experiences. So to recap some of those prompts that you can use for your review, first, just review your wins. Then next, review the God moments. After that, ask yourself, what did God teach you this quarter? And what other lessons can you learn from in relationships, health, and career? After that, identify the healthy habits you want to keep and continue. Then identify the habits you want to remove or add. And then after that, move into your goal planning. So get that review session on the calendar, celebrate those wins, pull out the valuable lessons. I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, please share it with somebody else that might benefit. You were made to do something great with your life. I truly believe that. You have value because God made you and he doesn't make mistakes. So go live a life you're proud of by living intentionally.